Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how I made this green mesh tote bag. It's beginner friendly, it works up quickly since it's mostly like a mesh stitch and made up of a chunky 3mm macrame cord. But you can also make this bag with any other yarn and customize it to be whatever size you like. So let's get into it. You're going to need your yarn, stitch markers, a needle, and a 9mm hook. Or if you're using another yarn, choose a hook size that corresponds to that yarn weight. And you can usually find that information on the yarn label. So let's begin by making a chainless foundation of 24 stitches. Start by making a slip knot, leaving a tail end of about 3 to 4 times the desired width of your bag. Now once you've got your slip knot, put your hook through, and I like to hold the working yarn at the top and holding the tail end at the bottom. Now wrap the tail end around, creating 2 loops on your hook, grab the working yarn and pull it through the 2 loops. So you should have something that looks like this. Now let's try again. Wrap the tail end around your hook and pull the working yarn through. One more time. Wrap the tail end around your hook. 2 loops on your hook now. Grab the working yarn, yarn over, and pull it through those 2 loops. Now continue this until you've got 24 stitches. If you want to make the bag wider or narrower, just make sure that you keep the stitch count to an even number. So it could be 30 stitches, it could be 20. Don't make it 21. Now you can pause this video and finish the 24 stitches or however many you want to do, and I will meet you at the end of this foundation row. Now you should have 24 stitches and it should be looking something like this. So we're going to start this round by making a stacked single crochet, and then we're going to continue with just double crochets. So stacked single crochet is exactly what it sounds like. It is 2 single crochets on top of each other. So start by chaining 1, and then we're going to make the first single crochet. We're going to put it right here into this first V. So put your hook through and make sure that you go through 2 loops. And just tuck that tail end in there so that we don't have to weave it in later. So now you should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now we have a single crochet and we're going to go straight through the middle of that stitch. So get into that first leg of the single crochet, yarn over and pull through. So you have 2 loops on your hook again and yarn over, pull through. Next we're going to put double crochets into that same stitch that we just went into. So yarn over, put your hook through into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through. Can be a little tricky sometimes. Yarn over and pull through. So you go first through 2 loops and then you yarn over and pull through 2 again. So this is what you should have. It sort of looks like 3 stitches, but it is actually just 2. Now we will do 3 more double crochets into the same stitch. So we should have a total of 5 stitches in that first stitch. Now we've got that first stacked single crochet and then 3 double crochets. So that means just 1 more double crochet. And I would recommend trying to do these stitches at the bottom of the bag really tight. Looks like I'm sort of struggling there, but I'm just trying to get them really tight because I don't want any holes. Anyway, there you have it, 5 stitches. So we have that first stacked single crochet, and then we have 4 double crochets. And now to continue we're just going to put a double crochet into every single stitch of this foundation row. Now just continue, and I will meet you at the end of this row. And now I've reached the end of this row, leaving just one stitch at the end. And now I'm going to crochet 6 double crochets into this last stitch. Once you're done, you should have something that looks like this. It's sort of like a semicircle. And you should have, like I said, 6 stitches in that last stitch. Now just continue along the other side of the chainless foundation. You should have these on the other side. So go into that first stitch, go through both loops, yarn over, pull through, and complete that double crochet. Now I will meet you at the end of this row. So now you should have something that looks like this. And we're going to put one last double crochet into that first stitch that we started with to complete the half circle on the other side, so that we should have 6 stitches on each end of the chainless foundation. Now we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch. So the stacked single crochet that you made at the beginning. So go into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through, and pull through. So now you've completed that first row. Now you should have a total of 56 stitches. So before you move on to row 2, make sure that you count your stitches. Now starting the second row, again we're going to start with a stacked single crochet. So go through that first stitch, the one that you stitched into, and pull through 2, again through that front leg of the single crochet, yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2. Now continue and put a double crochet into every stitch. And this round is going to be a little easier because we're not going to be increasing or decreasing. We're just going to put exactly 1 double crochet into each stitch. Because you're not making any increases in this row, it's going to start curling up like this. Now continue all the way around and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Now at the end of row 2, you should have something like this. I put a double crochet into every single stitch, and the only thing left to do is to finish the round with a slip stitch at the top of the stacked single crochet. Now make sure you don't go into this slip stitch here. It's very easy to mistake it for another stitch, so just make sure that you skip that one and you go into the top of the stacked single crochet. So slip stitch, and that's it for round 2. Another way to make sure that you don't accidentally increase is just to count your stitches. And again, you should still have 56 stitches. So continuing on, we'll start the row again with a stacked single crochet. Excuse my cat, she's a little bit curious. And there you have stacked single crochet. And it's actually a little easier to see now which stitch is the last stitch and which is the slip stitch. So you can go ahead and put a stitch marker into the slip stitch so that once you finish this row, you'll know not to go into this stitch. And you can easily see this stitch is the last stitch of the row. So let's continue again. Double crochet into every stitch. And I will meet you at the end of this round. Now we reached the end of row 3, stopping just before that stitch marker. You can go ahead and actually just remove it now, because we know we're not going into that stitch. And find the top of that stacked single crochet. Slip stitch into it. And there we have it, the end of row 3. Put your stitch marker back into the slip stitch. And continue on to row 4. Now row 4 is the last row that we'll be doing just double crochets. So once you're at the end of this row, we'll be starting on the mesh stitch. Now, just to double check that you haven't been increasing at the end of every round, you can turn your bag to the side like this and check that the sides are even. So that one side isn't flaring out more than the other. And then you can turn it inside out because this way we actually see the front of the double crochet stitches, not the back. And now we have reached the end of row 4, which means we will be starting the mesh stitch. Let's go ahead and slip stitch into that last stitch. And now we're going to chain, chaining 3. We're going to skip the first stitch and double crochet into that second stitch. And now basically we're just going to repeat this. So chain 1, skip the next stitch, go into that second stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into that second stitch. So yeah, this is basically all we're going to do for this round. So just continue on, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. End of row 5, and we just have that one chain left. And now we're going to go into, we're just going to go into that chain space. You can also go into the actual stitch. It's a little bit more tricky, but for me, I was happy to just go into the chain space. And then we're going to chain 1 and start a round of single crochets, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into each chain space. And this will sort of define the mesh stitch a little more and make it look a little bit neater. So 2 single crochets into every chain space and continue on. Finish this row and I will meet you once you're done. So now we've reached the end of row 6, a row of single crochets. And now to end this round, we're going to do what we've been doing, slip stitching into that first stitch. It's a little bit easier here to see the first stitch, but again, make sure you don't go into the slip stitch. Now let's start another round of double crochet, so chain 3. And now we're going to go into that single crochet that's at the top of the double crochet. It's easy to see. It's going to be right on top of the double crochet. Now chain 1 and double crochet into the single crochet on top of that double crochet again. Now we're just going to do a repeat of this. So basically a 2-row repeat. So we have double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, and then we have a row of single crochets, 2 single crochets into each chain space. So this 2-row repeat we will do a total of 5 times. So we've already done 1, and we're going to do 4 more. So you can go ahead and pause the video, finish 4 more rounds, and I'll see you at the other end. And there you have it, all done. Now we are just going to complete this round by actually just cutting the yarn. And we're going to pull the yarn through. And we're going to end this round with a little seamless trick. So the way to do that is you go through the back of the V, grab your yarn, and yarn over, pull it through. Now go in from the back into the middle of your last stitch, yarn over and pull that through. That way you've sort of created a little seamless finish there. And I usually just pick a random stitch just to end it, pull the yarn through, create a little knot just to keep it in place. Pull on it and just sort of get it in the right position. Next we're gonna split the top of the bag into the front and the back and start decreasing. Now find the 2 double crochets at each end of the bag. So on the right side, place a stitch marker on top of the double crochet stitch to the left of that side stitch. Just like this. So you have that side stitch and then 1 in from that. Do the same on the other side. Place a stitch marker on top of the double crochet to the right side of the side stitch. Now let's do the same on the other side. Find the side stitches and go 1 in from the side stitch. Place a stitch marker in the single crochet on top of that double crochet and do the same on the other side. Now they should be sort of lining up with each other, the stitch markers. And you should see that there's one double crochet in between these stitch markers. It should look something like this on both sides. Also make sure that you have an equal amount of stitches between the stitch markers on the front and the stitch markers on the back. Now remove the stitch marker on the right hand side and put your hook through that stitch. Make a slip knot and put it onto your hook, and then pull the slip knot through that stitch. And now chain 2, and now we're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet into that stitch on top of the double crochet. And you can see that the chains are sort of slanted towards that double crochet. And now just continue with the mesh stitch again, the same as we were doing before. Continuing along this row for 8 more double crochets. Now we're going to crochet 2 double crochets together to create the same sort of slant on this side. So remove your stitch marker, yarn over, and go into that stitch above the next double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice now, and go into the next single crochet above the next double crochet. So you should have 5 loops on your hook now. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again, and for the last one, yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches left on the hook. So now we've created a little slant on this side as well. It's not going to look exactly like the other side, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to crochet over it anyway. Now turn your bag around, chain 1, and put a single crochet into that chain space. Now it's the same thing again, 2 single crochets into each chain space. Continue this until the end of the row. Now just single crochet into this last stitch here. Pull tight. Now chain 2. And we'll repeat these 2 rows 2 more times. So in total 4 rows. Now we've added 4 more rows, and it's time to flip the bag over and do the exact same on the other side. So cut your yarn and pull it through. Now flip the bag over and repeat on the other side. Now you should have something like this. Now we just have to crochet the handles. So we're going to crochet single crochets onto the sides of the bag. So create a slip knot. And we're going to start on the side of the bag. So put your needle through a random stitch here. Doesn't really matter which one. And we're going to chain 1 and start single crocheting into these stitches here on the side. This is going to make it look a lot cleaner. So we're going to crochet all the way along here up to the top. And we'll put 2 single crochets for every chain 2 that we have on the side. And then we'll put one single crochet for each row of single crochets. Continue along all the way to the top. And now that we've reached the top, it should look something like this. Now we're gonna have to crochet into the side of this last stitch here where we have a loose end. So before we do that, I'm just going to secure it a little bit better so that we can actually crochet into it and it doesn't come loose. So just find a random stitch, put your hook through, and then pull the tail end through, and then pull it through again. So you're sort of just creating a little knot that will keep this in place. Pull it tight, and yeah, you're ready to go. Let's continue. Now we can go into the side of this stitch with one last single crochet. And now to make the handle, we are going to do a lot of chains. So you can obviously customize this to be whatever length you like. But I ended up chaining 38 in the end. And there we have 38 chains. And now we can move on to attaching these chains onto the other side of the bag over here. And then we're gonna crochet along down the side of it. So just put your hook through the side of that single crochet. Yarn over and pull through, and now we have attached the handle onto the other side. So now we just continue with single crochet all along down the side of the bag, just like we did on the other side. And remember, we put 2 single crochets into around every double crochet into this space here. And 1 single crochet into the side of the row of single crochets. And now we're just going to continue single crochets down along the side of the bag like this. So you keep going down, back up, weave this tail end in, and then crochet into the side of it, chain 38 or however many, finishing the round where you started. Now I finished 1 round, and it should look something like this. And we're going to do 1 more round of single crochets, last round. So slip stitch into that first stitch, chain 1, and start another round of single crochets. Now when you reach the handles, you can just go into the side of the chain. So no need to go through 2 loops here. And just go into that right leg of the chain. So your handle should start looking like this. Now continue along the handle. Now the other end, just continue going in through the chains, and as soon as you reach the first single crochet, just continue as normal. Now you go through both loops and continue with single crochets. And now you have a nice sturdy handle. Keep in mind that it can stretch a little depending on the yarn you use. I think with this yarn it's not going to stretch so much, but some yarns really do stretch, so it's better to make the handle a little shorter than longer. But yeah, continue on all the way to the other end where you started. And there we have it. Now the only thing left to do is to end the round, and we're going to do the same trick that we did before. So just cut your yarn and pull it through. And we're going to go in through the back of that first stitch, grab the yarn and pull it through from the front. Pull it a little tight. Now go through the last stitch through the back and in through the middle. Yarn over and pull it through. So you're creating this sort of fake stitch. But it's a very seamless finish and something I'll probably use in every single crochet project. And there you have it, it's done. Now you just have to weave in your ends, and I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. So get one of these yarn needles and pull the yarn through the eye of the needle. And now just find some random stitches to put your needle through. There's really no right or wrong here. And then pull the needle through. I'm just going to cut this little piece of yarn that was sticking out. And now this would probably be enough, but I'm just going to do a couple of more stitches just in case. Now just pull on it a little bit so that it gets set into place and cut the yarn. Now repeat for the rest of the ends and then you are done. So that's a wrap on this one. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you love your new bag as much as I love mine. Let me know in the comments how it went. This is my first ever tutorial, so if you found it helpful, a like or subscribe would be really appreciated. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Happy crocheting!